Hello, I'm Richard Murphy. I've already done a video that discusses the consequences of the government failing to comply with the rule of law. But I didn't expect to make that video a week or so ago because it just wasn't a question that arose. And now it has. And now we know that the government does not necessarily intend to comply with the rule of international law, and that it is willing to move into what we might frankly call a Wild West scenario where we have no idea what might happen. I've thought about the economic consequences of that, and they are profoundly scary. Let's just imagine for a moment what will happen if we reach the end of 2020 and we have no deal with the EU. Not only no deal, but a situation of deep antagonism with the EU because the UK has set out to antagonise it in the way it is doing at present. And therefore we have significant trade barriers put in place between us and the EU at that time, both on the England-France border and on the Northern Ireland border in particular. This has disastrous consequences, and it's even worse when we add another factor into this equation, which is that, as we now know, and this is being recorded in September 2020, coronavirus cases are rising. The impact of an increase in the number of coronavirus cases will also be dramatic. We're already being locked down again. Fewer people will go out, business confidence will fall, consumers will spend less, the already vulnerable leisure sector will see fewer customers, the chance that more businesses will fail will increase, the prospect of more people being unemployed grows yet again. Put all these factors together and then realise that trade barriers which will result from a no-deal Brexit dramatically impact UK agriculture, which will see significant tariffs on its sales to Europe, and dramatically impact some of our manufacturing businesses, for example on cars, where we export a great many vehicles, where there will also be significant tariffs on sales to Europe, and you suddenly see that we could be in an awful situation at the beginning of 2021. There may quite literally be food shortages. 70% of our food in January is imported, most of it through the England, Dover to France route. We will be facing a situation where there will be mass unemployment. We will be seeing major manufacturers suggesting they'll be leaving the UK. We will be seeing smaller businesses who can't make it through the winter because their money will simply run out because they had poor summers followed by poor autumns and a poor Christmas, which COVID restrictions are likely to create. Add all that together and we could look at something which is absolutely disastrous. A sudden spike in unemployment, a sudden panic with regard to buying, creating a spike in inflation which in normal circumstances would be unimaginable because there would be no reason for it except for the shortage of supply of food, and we then head towards something which looks like economic meltdown. If we have simultaneous inflation and unemployment and an inability to trade, plus a fall in the value of the pound because of a fundamental change in the nature of our trading terms because of a no-deal Brexit, we have literally the prospect of an economic meltdown. And it gets worse, because the thing that I've always been able to rely upon to get us out of such a situation is quantitative easing. The government's ability to create money to bail itself out by buying its own debt and to therefore ensure that cash flows around the economy. But in a situation like this, where we have sudden mass unemployment, where there's nobody working, putting more money into our economy at the same time as we have a trading crisis could literally lead to a sterling crisis. In other words, a meltdown in the value of the pound. Add all that up and we end up in an economic environment which is, well, simply unknown. We haven't done this before. We don't know what can happen. And the difficulty I now have is that I can foresee this. And if it can be foreseen, it is at least plausible that it might happen. Every single assumption I've made is reasonable. We are going to be outside the world trading system. we will antagonise Europe unless something dramatic changes. It is likely that COVID cases will increase. It is certain that there will be more unemployment. It is beyond doubt that more businesses will fail. Therefore, all the building blocks for this crisis exist. Do we have a government that is willing to react to it? Or do we have a government that actually wants this because it is the basis for the destruction of the economy that they see as the foundation for its rebuilding in the form that they want, whatever that might be? I genuinely don't know the answer, but I am deeply worried about it, and I think you should be too.